Well, welcome along to our edition of the Blues Cruise. Look who we've got. We've got the coach of Sturt Footy Club, Marty Mattner.
So how you going?
Great to see you, mate. How are you?
Very good.
Now, this is, you've got to navigate my driving while we're having this conversation, so I've got to try and multitask.
Okay, very nice.
Welcome along, and thank you to Dylan Nunn, our good friends at Wayville Hyundai. They provide us with this beautiful Santa Fe, so we get to travel in luxury. Does it feel a bit limousine-y?
Yeah, it's very
relaxed?
nice. A bit Uber driver like, I like it.
It is. Well, you know, unfortunately though, most Uber drivers at least provide you with a complimentary bottle of water.
Water, yeah.
I've got nothing for you.
Yeah, some mints or something, but I don't
I've got nothing for you, Marty.
That's all right, that's fine.
Welcome along, mate. And you've had some really hot runs over the last few years, and particularly early on when you first started coaching. Do you ever need a loss? You know when someone says, oh, a loss is good for you? Do you need one, really?
You don't like them, but no. I think it's more about the way you're playing your footy. And at the moment, I think we're playing some really good footy, and the way we want to play, I think we've been able to score quite freely, which is something that we've worked on over pre-season. So, yeah, I mean, I think realistically we're not going to win every game for the year. We are going to have some losses throughout the year, but it's probably more about the way we're going about our footy at the moment. It's the pleasing, and we are doing what we want to do, and that's score more, which is a real positive at the moment. Defence is good, always. Yeah, I don't know.
It's been a key, hasn't it?
Yeah,
really, from when you were coaching, what, 9 years ago was your first
year? Yeah, and the funny thing is we actually have done not very much or focus on defence this year, but it's still a real strength of ours, which is probably pleasing as well. Yeah.
We'll get back to footy in a minute. I want to start this, obviously we're getting around in this beautiful car. What was the first car you ever had, Marty?
Well, I inherited my grandpa's old Mitsubishi Magna, a little red, I think it was a TN Magna, so little manual.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Geez, that's right, you started in a manual.
Yeah, well, growing up on the farm, everything was manual.
Yeah.
So trucks, utes, everything, and cars.
Did it go okay? Was there anything wrong with it?
No, it was in good condition.
So he looked after it?
Yeah, he looked after it, I didn't. But yeah, that was my first car, and then my first car I brought was a Holden Commodore. So that was just the old, I think it was like a VR Commodore. Yep. So that was the first.
Because you would have done a heap of country Ks.
Yeah, we used to do.
Kai grew up. What's Kai about 150k out?
About 150 Ks, yep. So we used to, I mean, even to footy training was a round trip about 35 Ks, so about 17 Ks to training. Right. That was just to training, and then. When I first started, we used to play against like Murrayville in Victoria. So, So from, Dad used to say from the front drive, it was the same distance to go to Murrayville as it was to Adelaide for footy. Yeah, right. About 150
And Murrayville were in your league?
Yeah, they're in that league. So Lameroo, Penaroo, like we travel Lameroo, Penaroo, which is like about 100 Ks. Jeez. So, a lot of driving. Yeah. Murray Bridge for grocery shopping. 75 Ks to go grocery shopping. Really? Yeah. How many people were living in Kai when you grew up? About 10, 12. Really? Yeah, it's still about the same. Like, it's still about that 10 or 12 now. Yeah, right. Yeah, it's sort of... So you knew every person in the town? Yeah, basically. I mean,
couldn't get away with anything?
We knew everyone around the district as well. Like, you knew everyone farm. Like, you go to school with a lot of the kids, and you sort of knew everyone in every sort of little town around that area. So there's no school, obviously, in Kai if there's 10 or 12 people. No. So where'd you go to school? Coombe,
How far
just down the road. It's about 20 Ks, I guess, 15, 20 Ks. Oh, yeah,
you do the Coombe drive when you're heading to Melbourne.
Yep, heading to Melbourne, yep. So that was sort of... Mum was a teacher there, so that was quite handy. Yeah. Didn't have to spend too much time on the bus, which was nice. Excellent. What's it like growing up in a place like that where it's so small? Did you like it? Yeah, I loved it. It was, I growing up on the farm, so we were we were about 10 Ks out of town. So, basically get home from school, you jump on the motorbike, or you'd go and find Dad wherever he was on the farm, you'd help him out and drive motorbikes, and loved it. Really good lifestyle. Really enjoyed it. What were you doing? Were you, what'd you have on the farm? We were everything. We had cattle, sheep, cropping. We sort of, we're a bit of everything. And then as sort of Dad got older, we sort of got out of more cropping and then got into more cattle, and it's just a lot easier. And you would have been hands-on from a young age? Yep, hands-on. What sort of stuff? What sort of stuff were you learning everything about life on the farm? Everything. Welding, driving motorbikes. Like shearing time was always good fun as a kid. You'd always be sick that week because you'd love to stay home and help the shearers out. Yeah, right. So could you shear okay? Nah. You had a few cracks at it? Yeah, I had a few cracks at it, but I wasn't very good at it. It was not a job that I wanted to do. Do you draw much blood on the sheep? Yeah, always.
Is
Always.
Is it like just clipping your hair or no?
No, it's a little bit different. When you got a sheep kicking back at you or something like that, it's not very enjoyable. But not a job that I really enjoyed.
What about your old man? Was he a gun shearer?
He was pretty good.
How long does it take to shear a sheep if you're good?
If you're good, couple minutes.
Yep.
Yep. That was pretty good. But yeah, as you got older, I guess you always get a little bit slower. But he probably still, I think up until a couple of years ago, he was still shearing a few sheep every year. He still shear a few at like, what's he, late 60s, I think.
Yeah.
Now.
Well, I see your dad at the footy all the time.
Yeah.
He's still there pumping along. He had, I think he had, I saw him the other day, he had the Marty Mattner badge, I think, from the early days.
Badge, yeah. Limited edition of one. No, two. Mum and Dad have got. Oh no, Dale's got one as well. There's 3 people.
Right.
Who got
what are they from? 2000. What was your first year when you came down?
2000 was the first year of Sturt.
Yeah. So I reckon that badge looked like around about 2000, 2001. Looked pretty sharp.
Probably was.
Did you have a PB for shearing a sheep?
Oh no, I only reckon a handful of sheep I ever shore. So I was never a shearer.
They get nervous when you.
Yeah,
like a Kiwi.
Yeah,
when
don't
you
go
walked in,
near.
they get nervous.
Don't go anywhere near a sheep.
All right. So footy as a young kid, you're travelling all these different distances. One thing that I can always remember when you came down to Sturt as a young man, you were a ferocious tackler, and we saw that all through your sample and AFL career. Where did that come from? Was that from a coach? Was that from your dad? Was it from chasing sheep?
I think it was from a bit of everything. Yeah, I think growing up on the farm, like, yeah, we just as kids, like you'd grab sheep and you'd tackle them to the ground and you'd like, you know, drag them out of the pen or whatever, or, you know, want to jump a fence or something, so you'd have to go and catch it or whatever. And then I think also just, I guess where we played at peak, they only had under 12s and under 17s. So if you were, like I started playing when I was probably more regularly, like when I was 7 or 8 years old. So you're playing against the bigger kids. So basically, well,
under 12s at 7.
Correct. Yeah. So no one really kicked it to you. So then it was like, well, the only way you're going to get the footy is to tackle or beat your opponent. So that's probably where that came from. And then even like as an under 12s, you know, we'd feel, and there's a group of us, we were, you know, we were pretty good footballers, but there'd probably be a handful of us sort of fill in for the 17s each week as well.
At that age.
At sort of 12, So I think it just came about by that. Always playing upper grade, you always had to be pretty competitive, and that's sort of how I found to find the footy, was to make some tackles, and that helped.
Well, you're essentially not just playing upper grade. If you're, what, 12 there's some beers just making noise in the background. They're not wet, just got them in there for storage. When you're 12 and you're playing under 17s, you're not really playing just up a year. You're playing up 3 or 4
you're playing up 3.
You're playing against, and I can imagine 15, 16-year-old kids who grow up on a farm were like men.
Yeah, well, I wasn't. I was pretty skinny at that stage. But so, yeah, I think that's just, and then all kids did it. Like I said, there was probably 7 or 8 of us, and we just rotate every week playing, as a 12-year-old playing under 17s. And that was just what you did. Everyone did it in the country. You sort of played upper grade to fill in and make the numbers up. And but I think, in the end, it probably actually worked out really well for my footy.
Do you know, I reckon, thinking of football all the way along, and I was a city kid, but when you'd see the country kids I reckon were genuinely tougher. Did you ever notice that, do you reckon? Yeah,
probably. And I think because that playing up age groups, and like I think every kid that played country footy would have at some stage in their life played up a year or two. And as you said, it's not just 1 year, it's probably like, I think even like when I moved to Murray Bridge to play footy there, it was still 12s, 14 and a halves and 17. So it's still a couple age years gaps.
When you got kids that much older, did they terrorise the little kids? Did they make life harder for you?
Oh, you see, you get the older, bigger kid who thought they were going to be a bit of a bully at that stage. And they'd sort of like, you know, talk to you and tell you what they thought of them and that sort of stuff. But I think that's also, you build that bit of resilience and that sort of tough shell, I guess. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I loved it, and it was really good.
It set you up really well, you reckon?
Yeah, I think so. I think it did. Especially on the tackling competitive side. Like, I was a pretty competitive kid and hated losing, so even as a bigger kid or an old kid against me, I'd always want to try and beat them as well. So probably with a lot of older cousins as well.
Yeah, and were they all around near you as well?
Yep. So basically grew up all within about sort of 15 k's, all sort of farming or all within sort of 15 k's. Grew up with all my cousins back home as well. So, and that was the fun thing about footy on the weekend. So trainings, you train with your mates, and then Saturdays you spend all your day with your cousins and all your mates at footy training and footy club. And yeah, really enjoyable. Loved the experience. Like Saturday nights, everyone would stay and have dinner at the footy clubs, and you know, 9 o'clock at night, you'd be going home and sleep in the car and stuff like that. So
get Dad to carry you in, pretend you were asleep, even when you were awake.
Correct, and Dad would carry you in. But yeah, I loved it. It was a really good lifestyle. And I guess I didn't really know much different either. That's all I knew was the farming and the footy, country footy lifestyle until I got a bit older.
So if you grew up in that sort of rural area, how did you deal with Adelaide? Because you clearly went on to live in Sydney, which you live in the busiest city in Australia, but how did Adelaide strike you first when you were a country kid?
Yeah, fine, because we used to come down a fair bit. Like, we used to go to Crows games a bit. We used to come down, like I had grandparents that lived here, and yeah, we were down here pretty regularly. So it never really like shocked me. Used to love coming to Adelaide as a kid as well. It's just different, but a good different. But yeah, we never really, it was never really a massive shock. Sydney was a little bit of a shock when I first went over there a few times. I could imagine. We'll get to that in a moment. So when you get to the Blues for the first time and you start playing, can you remember your first game? I can remember first game was a reserves game. First league game I believe was Glenelg at Glenelg, and that was my debut in the league. But yeah, first season I played down here at Sturt. I actually played I think 2 or 3 trial games for the under-17s one pre-season. They invited me down to play a couple games, and that was an interesting couple games. We got beaten convincingly by about sort of 15-20 goals both trial games, and I said nah, I think I'll go back home and play. And I was playing A-grade footy back at Imperials in Murray Bridge, so
at what, 16ish? At
16, so I sort of said to the club, I said, no, I think I'll go back and play footy back there, which is probably the best thing for me. Again, I found that year was really good for my development and footy and stuff, and we had a really good side actually. Like Brady Lena played in that team. Trying to think who else. Stewie Totham, Damien Garrett. There's a few guys that were down playing sample footy at that stage. So we had a really good side that year. We were undefeated premiers, which was pretty good experience for a 16-year-old kid. Playing the flag. Yeah, playing the flag. A-grade flag. Yep. Perfect. When you got down to the Blues and you started playing, how did you find Sandford footy? Did you take to it pretty well? Yeah, it was. My first year playing reserves was a bit scary. I remember playing at Alberton and getting, beer thrown on you. Coming down that race. A bit of abuse coming down the race, a bit of beer thrown on you. Sometimes the odd slag, someone would spit. Yeah, you might get a little bit of spit every now and then. And I remember one player sort of telling me that if I went near the ball, they'd bash me. So as a 16-year-old kid at about 60 kilos, I was a bit nervous the rest of that game. So what year was that? That was 2000. And that was, I was sort of like 17 at that stage. That was a bit scary going to Alberton, I feel like. But good experience. Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, that was an eye opener as a young kid going out there. Yeah, that success you had at the Double Blues, I think after you would have come just as things had started to pick up really well with Phil Carman and all of that. And then you started playing some regular footy. 02, win the first flag since 76. I can remember watching you in that game, and I think kicked a great goal, run off up. But you're still a young man. So what were you in 02? You were. I was 19. So. I'd sort of just got to the Crows, I guess the pre-season before on the rookie list, and played a couple games at the end of that year, and then was sort of lucky enough to, at that stage the Crows didn't make finals, so I was released back to Sturt, and we had a really good side, and we had a really good position that year, and probably ended up having a really good final series for the Sturt, which actually probably got me my contract at the Crows, an extension there, because at that stage they were just 1-year deals in the rookie list. So, but God, can you remember what you were getting a game when you started at the Crows? I can't remember what they pay you. I think the base payment was about 18 or 20,000. But it was quite a bit when you got a game. I think it was like 2.5 or 3 grand, I reckon, to play, which was pretty impressive as a kid. Then, as a teenager. That was good coin. Yep, that was very good coin. So that 02 flag, and I spoke to Damien Sky about this the other day. Central, that's the game I reckon Central hate that they've lost, despite all the success they had. They won their 9 flags across their 12 grand finals.
you still talk to some of those Centrals boys, and O2 was the one where they are still really pissed that they lost that.
Yeah, I think
Take us through that day and that build-up.
It was probably one of those games where we hadn't beaten them all year. And it was probably like we just had nothing to lose, I think. And I think a lot of players went in with that mentality a little bit as well, that we just got to play footy and whatever happens, happens. But we got sort of nothing to lose. And I guess we started well. That was probably the key. Kicked with the breeze. It was pretty strong win that day. And we got on top early. And then I think, as happens in games, that a couple of things go your way. I think one of their players got injured, broke a couple of ribs.
Did Barnaby French crash
French crashed into him on the far wing. I think
Damien Hicks.
Yeah, that's it.
Cleaned him up.
And so, those little things help. We got a couple early goals. We got the ball sort of down our forward line a fair bit, and sort of those things. Just everything seemed to go our way as well. It was really enjoyable. And I guess that's the thing. I was sort of 19 at that stage, so. And I won a premiership as a 17-year-old, so I was thinking this is pretty good life.
Happens every couple of weeks?
Every couple of years, sorry. Every couple of years, and I'll
get a flag.
Get a flag every couple of years, and it's quite nice. But as footy taught me, it doesn't always go that way. No,
but it was such a significant win because it'd been 1976. Things got close in the 90s under Phil, so it was a magical time for the footy club.
Yeah, it was.
It changed. It really got things going, I think.
Yeah, it was, and I think there was that little period. I think '99, a lot of the guys played in the reserves, grand final, and won that. And then there was the '98. They lost to Port,
by 9 points.
There was a really tough period there in the early '90s, but then late sort of '90s, early 2000s was when the club really, I guess, got going and became really consistently a good club, and on the field we were going really well. You started to play some really good footy at the Crows too. How did you find that jump from those two levels? You played good finals footy at Sandford, obviously. Yeah, I think it was probably pretty easy for me. I'd always, playing at Sturt, I felt comfortable there. And I feel like the gap wasn't too bad. It wasn't as big as I think it is now. It is quite a bit of a jump now, but. I loved it, and like I said, it was, I guess, like I was a little bit old. I was sort of 19, 20, and I'd play senior footy as a 16-year-old, played like Sturt as an 18-year-old league footy, so sort of that experience had been really good as well. And I feel like I just seemed well prepared for it to play AFL footy, and got my opportunity, and then made the most of it. But it took me a couple of years to go, I guess, get it consistently in the team and play consistently. It took me probably 2 or 3 years. Probably wasn't until 2004, I reckon, where I played. I think I even missed one game that year. It took me a while to get going.
I reckon 06 you had 12 Brownlow votes?
Yeah, 5 I think it was. 2005 I think it was.
12 Brownlow votes?
Yeah.
So you got more than Rashudo, Goodwin, McLeod.
I think I was
equal. The club?
I think I was equal with. I think it was Edwards and Goodwin or something like that equal. But I started the season pretty well. I think I had like 9 votes after about 5 games and was sitting pretty high.
Sitting at home? Were you sitting at home watching?
No,
were you there?
Actually at the Alma. It was Mad Monday because we got beaten in the prelim by West Coast. So we're actually sitting at the Alma with the boys. And
so you were on the leaderboard early on?
Yeah, so I was in a bit of trouble early.
Like you had to have a couple little sips.
Have a couple little sips.
Yeah. Did you think you had a chance?
Nah.
Come on.
Nah. I thought I was going well. I was talking myself up, but I knew there was no chance because I think later in the year, I just probably just fell away with performances a little bit later in the year, and probably knew I wasn't getting anywhere near it. But and probably also surprised I did get votes at the start of the year.
Not bad, eh?
Had a couple games where I thought I was good, but not probably 3. But
and you got the 3s.
Yeah.
Nice.
Bit impressed.
Beautiful. What was it like playing the Adelaide Footy Club when you're in this town? Obviously, it's just huge. Obviously, all the thought and the weight was still behind Adelaide. As Port won in 04, but it was still a very much Crows city.
Yeah, it was.
What was it like?
Yeah, and I was great. Like we used
to
go,
like it?
Yeah, I did enjoy it. Well, we used to go to Crows games, so we followed the Crows early. Used to go to Crows games, so I guess every player wants to play AFL footy when they play footy, but lucky enough to play at the Crows, and it was probably just really good for us, or me, in terms of staying in Adelaide, like coming down from the country, a couple of years here, settled, got to Adelaide, and back those days when you weren't playing at the Crows, you got to play at Sturt as well, so I was pretty comfortable about all that as well. But yeah, it was just a really good experience for me, and really enjoyed my time there, and then the decision came to go to Sydney, and it was a tough one, but hindsight's a good thing.
So what, you played something like 98 at Adelaide,
yeah,
right?
98, yep.
And then what was the call? How did you get to Sydney, and why?
Well, it ended up being just at the end of the year, in that last year, I actually didn't play 3 games. Yep. So I was emergency for those 3. I was sort of in and out of the side, and
Neil Craig was
coaching, and had a conversation. We still had a year contract to go at Adelaide, and as you do your review, and the conversation came back, you just got to improve in this area, and this area, and this area, and you're doing this really well.
What area were they looking at?
A little bit was fitness, a little bit was like just consistency of performance, and also probably just probably improving, just generally your skills, and trying to get 5 or 10% better in a couple of other areas as well. But and then also too, I think it was that Craigie came in with a philosophy of like the athlete, and really training hard and that sort of stuff, and which I did. But also too, I just started to see that I was sort of like 25, I think, at that stage, and there was a lot of these young kids coming in, and they were like just athletically really good, and I could sort of see there'd been a few players like Jason Tawney did really well in the best and fairest one year, and then the following year he was delisted, and then Ian Perry and a few of these other guys started to sort of be pushed out in their sort of late 20s. So I sort of started to sort of see that maybe the tides were changing with the club, of where they were going. You could sense it? Yeah, you could sort of sense it a little bit with some other players that had happened to them. And then basically my manager rang me and said, I sort of said, and he rang me and said, what do you want to do? And I said, no, I'm not going to go anywhere, happy at Adelaide, still a year to go. And then about a couple of weeks later, he rang me and said, I've had a couple of clubs inquire. And I said, who and what? And he sort of said, well, the one that's really inquiring really hard is Sydney. And I said, okay. And at that stage, it was like, I think Sydney, Adelaide and Eagles had been the best 3 sides for that sort of 2003, 2004, 2005, 6 period. And always been really impressed by their, respected them as well, and I think we had a lot of internal respect amongst the 3 clubs.
There's a lot of this talk about the Bloods culture at that time too, wasn't it? There was. But just before we get that, who were the other clubs that showed a bit of interest?
Well, I don't really know, but he sort of said that was the one that was showing a lot of interest and wanted to meet. And I sort of said, no, I'm not going to meet, and I don't really want to do that. I'm happy. And anyway, about a week later, my manager rang back and said, they're really keen to catch up. They're going to fly you to Sydney, and they want to meet you. And I was like, he's like, well, I said, no, what do you think I should do? And he goes, I think you should do it. And what do you got to lose? Nothing. Anyway, so got on the plane, went to Sydney, got picked up at the airport, got taken to the footy club, showed around, met Roosie at that stage, met a couple of the other staff in the footy club. And
what was their pitch? What was Paul Roos's pitch to you?
Basically, his pitch was, mate, this is where you're going to play and this is what you're going to do.
And what was that?
And that was like, play half back. We got Mount Chesky, we've got Ty Kennelly. We see the 3 of you guys playing like half back and wing. And then he basically just said, like, this is where we see you playing, this is your strengths, this is what you can bring to the group. And I sort of left that meeting going, I think I'm going to play here.
So he was convincing? Was there something about him, or what was it?
He was the best at, Brucey was so good at basically just like selling the story, but also just like, mate, this is what you bring and this is what you can do and this is what you'll do for the group. And basically just the old magnet on the board, this is where we see you playing, this is what we see you bringing. And then then they took me down to Coogee and had lunch with a few of the players. And it was a beautiful day, and basically got on the plane going, you were convinced? I was in. I was in.
And was the coin much different?
No, it was just probably a little bit more like they offered 3 years. So it was just more that security, I guess. And it was just that security of playing 3 years. And so basically Monday morning this was basically a couple days before the trade period started, back in those days. And there was a bit of toing and froing back from the Crows. Like, I asked them questions about, where do you see me in a couple of years' time? Why haven't I been offered like a contract extension?
So you were able to do that afterwards?
So
because you had a bit of confidence?
But also too because I sort of wanted to find out as well. then in the end, there was sort of a deal already done for me to go, and I basically just had to decide if I wanted to go or not.
Yeah.
And when I did on the Monday morning, the trade period, I basically by lunchtime the deal was done. So it was one of the quickest, I think, in sort of trade history.
Right. So when you got on the plane to go there,
yep.
What percentage do you reckon you were to go to Sydney? Right.
Probably 5%, 1%. Like it was.
Oh, really?
Very minimal. Yeah. Like
right. So purely fact finding, bit of an interest.
It was basically just tick a box.
Right.
Had nothing to lose.
God, so not even bloody 50-50.
Nah,
you were like, almost no chance.
Yep, no chance.
Yeah, right. And you flew back. You stayed there the day, or you came back?
No, I came back the same day.
So you've gone on the plane over at about 1%. You're going to be a Swan.
Yep.
And you came back at what?
Oh, by the time I left Roosy's meeting, I reckon I was probably at about 75%.
Yeah.
And then by the time I met the players and they had a chat, and that was pretty impressive as well. That was probably pushing up to 80, 90, and then by the time I got home, and then my managers, and then I rang him Sunday night before the trade period, and I said, I'm in, I'm going. And he goes to me, just sleep on it.
Yep.
And if you're still the same tomorrow morning, let me know. And I was, and like I said, it just worked out and
worked brilliantly.
It was a good decision.
That's good how pretty quickly you were able to go. I knew it was going to work.
Yeah, well, it wasn't quite as easy as that, but there was still a lot of I guess weighing up the pros and cons of everything, and I sort of sat down and spoke to some different people that I trusted about the decision and in footy and that sort of stuff. And it was also like, what are the pros and what are the cons and all this sort of stuff. So one of them was 3 years compared to 1. You guaranteed that.
Yep.
And that was probably the other thing I thought. If I go for 3 years, I'm 28. If it doesn't work out, then I'm 28, and I'll be quite comfortable that I retire playing whatever games. And if it does work out, then I'm probably going to be there for a few more years, which we were, which was pleasing and worked out.
How did family take it?
I think Mum and Dad, they were probably a little bit disappointed leaving, but they also really embraced the decision, and they loved it. Like, they would then drive to Sydney most weekends and watch footy. They were like, they'd drive across the not the Nullarbor, but drive across the Hay Plain, and they'd go to games, and they'd come to pretty much most home games throughout the year in Sydney.
Jeez,
go to Melbourne a bit as well.
Ks.
Yeah, they did some Ks, I reckon.
Wow.
I reckon something like 1 year, I think they did about 50,000 Ks 1 year, just driving, plus the farm and coming to Adelaide and stuff in bits and pieces. It was a fair year.
Geez, your dad, we needed to stick your dad in a Santa Fe. He would have been just cruising.
He would have loved it,
beautifully.
just cruising,
The Bloods culture, everyone heard so much about it. Give us an understanding of what was the Bloods culture.
It's hard to put an actual exact couple words on it. And the example I use is the example when I first got there. One of the players had their 21st birthday.
Yep.
So we went, and I got invited. It was probably my first 2 months there, I reckon. And I rocked up, and 95% of the playing group was there.
Yeah.
And I was just like, because in Adelaide, you sort of had your mates in footy, you had your mates outside of footy, and if you went to a 21st, you might get half the team there, or you might get some guys, you get mates from outside. But at the dinner, it was just the playing group.
Yeah,
a couple of these mates had flown up from Melbourne, I think he was from.
Yeah.
And there was a couple of family members there, but the whole playing group were there, but most of the group, like 90% of the group that were there for dinner was the playing group. And I was sort of like asking questions about why this happens. And they go, because everyone's in the same boat. Everyone was from interstate. Yeah. We only had 3 blokes from Sydney.
Yeah, right.
Even the 5 or 6 guys were from New South Wales. So it was just a different, like when you did something, it was a real team. And everyone was so tight because everyone was in the same boat. Everyone had moved from interstate or come up from Melbourne or whatever. And so even the staff, like even the closeness of the staff was quite intriguing. I guess you got to get back in the AFL and you've got to do a few things, tick a few boxes to do that. But at the moment, really happy at Sturt. And
you're 42?
Yeah, 43.
43. So you're still young.
Yeah, still young. Yep.
So you'd love one day, that's still a goal?
It is, but it's not an immediate goal right now. Like at the moment, Sturt's really going really well. My kids are in positions where they're starting high school and that sort of stuff, and I get to see them most weeks. I get to take them to trainings and that sort of stuff as well. and our work-life balance of family and, you know, Chelsea, my partner, and my wife, and that sort of stuff. So we've got really good balance at the moment. Things are working well, but never say never.
I think you're going to do it one day.
We'll see.
If you could pick one AFL team to coach, who would it be?
Oh, mate, any of them would be good. You'd take a job anywhere, I think.
Maybe the Swannies one day.
We'll see.
Once Coxie's finished and won a few flags. Eh?
Hopefully.
Good on you. Marty, great to have you, mate.
Thank you very much.
Cheers, buddy.